Hello and welcome back to our story about Fanny. If you remember last time, it was a little disappointing because Fanny was not able to get her eyesight back. I was really hoping that she would be able to, and I'm sure Fanny was too. But you know what? God knows best, and even when it's really hard, we have to trust His plan because He has something great in store for each one of us, even when sometimes that might be hard. Let's pick up in our story with Fanny to see what she is up to. One fall afternoon, when Fanny was 14, she heard the crackle of dried leaves and quick snapping of twigs as someone approached her. "Fanny," her mother's breathless voice exclaimed, "listen to this." The rustle of paper in Mercy's hand and the seriousness of her voice frightened Fanny. Someone is sick or has died, Fanny thought. But her fright was soon gone as her mother explained. "Fanny, there is a school called the New York Institute for the Blind. This paper tells all about it. Would you like to go there?" Fanny clapped her hands tightly. A tingle of excitement raced through her. School? A chance to learn and be like other people? Oh, thank you, God. Fanny prayed silently. "You have answered my prayer." The young girl trembled as she spoke. "Yes, Mother, I do want to go. This is the happiest day of my life." Fanny applied to the school and was accepted. The next 4 months were busy as she prepared to leave. Often there was sadness in Mercy's voice as the two talked. "How will you ever get along without me? You've never been away from home more than 2 weeks at a time." Fanny answered thoughtfully, "I love you, Mother, and I'll miss you. But I want to be like my friends. I want an education." On the morning Fanny was to leave, her mother woke her at the last minute. Fanny shook as she dressed quickly. By the time she was ready, the stagecoach was waiting. There was a knot in her throat as she tried to swallow her breakfast. Tears were in her eyes as she climbed into the stagecoach. She couldn't speak. The stagecoach bumped its way over the rough road. Fanny and the woman who was taking her to the school bounced on the seats. With every bounce, a tear trickled down Fanny's cheek. After an hour, the lady traveling with Fanny said, "If you don't want to go to New York City, we will get out at the next station and take a returning stagecoach home. Your mother will be lonesome without you anyway." Fanny's lip quivered. Something in her wanted to say, "Yes, please take me home." The thought startled her. Not go to school? "No," Fanny said firmly. "I shall go to school." The first evening at school, Fanny sat in a little room that was to be hers. Everything was new and strange. The furniture was arranged differently from home. "I'll have to learn to walk around without bumping into the bed and chair," she thought as she sat on her suitcase. Tears filled her eyes again. But then she thought, "I'm at school. I'm going to learn. I'll meet new friends." Over and over, Fanny tried to think positive thoughts. She didn't realize how much her sigh sounded like a sob until a kindly Quaker woman put her arms around her. "Fanny, I think thee has never been away from home before." The words sounded strange to Fanny, but her voice was kind. "No, ma'am," Fanny replied. "Please excuse me. I keep crying." The Quaker woman hugged Fanny for a long time and helped her get ready for her first night in a new place. Fanny soon adjusted to school life. Her new friends explained the schedule and showed her around. "Remember, if you're late for morning prayers," one of her friends cautioned, "there will be no breakfast for you." Fanny laughed, eager to begin classes. Several weeks later, Fanny sent a letter home. This is what the letter said. Dear Mother, thank you for allowing me to come to the Institute for the Blind. School is all I could have hoped it would be, and more. When I arrived, so much was strange. I miss you, and I still do, but now I've made friends. Classes are not so difficult when I memorize all my lessons, but when I have to read them in Braille, it takes so long. It's easier to memorize everything than to read in Braille. My fingers are too callous from playing the guitar and knitting. They aren't sensitive enough to feel the little bumps that cover the pages of our books. Those bumps are supposed to spell out the words. I like all my classes, especially astronomy. I remember grandmother describing the stars as tiny, bright, twinkling lights in the black sky, and that God in heaven made them for us to enjoy. There's one class that I hate, and that's math. Numbers frustrate me. Many weeks and letters later, Fanny's mother opened another letter from Fanny, which read, "Every evening, different teachers read poems and stories by famous authors. Some of my friends are trying to write, and I am too. My friends say that I am talented. Here are some of the poems I've written. I am trying to make my poems sound like those I have heard." Fanny continued to work hard in school and make friends. One day, Fanny slipped into a friend's room and quietly closed the door. "Jean," she whispered, "I just heard the gardener say the watermelon crop is to be sold. That means no more watermelons to eat." "I have an idea. Come with me." The two girls walked slowly over the school grounds to the garden. "Hey now, what do you girls think you're doing out here?" growled the old gardener. "I've got work to do. No time for talking. Got to load these melons into the wagon." Thump, bump, bump. One melon landed in the wagon and rolled. Thump. "Sir," Fanny said, stepping forward, "we heard you are going to sell these watermelons to raise money for the school." Yes, panted the old man. "Only got a few more to load and my job is finished. Except I have to make sure that nobody steals any." "Let us help you," Fanny volunteered. "You? No, ma'am. Lifting melons is a man's job." "Oh, I didn't mean that," said Fanny. "We can guard the melons and you can rest." "Well," the gardener said, "seems I could rest a bit. You guard these melons and don't let anyone come and take one, you hear?" "Yes, sir," Fanny replied. The girls waited as the gardener trudged away. Soon they heard only the chatter of a squirrel in a nearby tree. Fanny walked around to the back of the wagon and reached over the gate. "Jean, come stand by me. The gardener said we weren't to let anyone come take a melon. But he didn't say we couldn't take one ourselves. Help me lift this one from the wagon. We can hide in the lilac bushes by the path and then pick it up to eat later." Soon the girls were sitting under a tree listening for the gardener's return. Jean giggled. "Fanny, are you going to write a poem about stealing a watermelon?" Fanny laughed nervously. "I don't know. I won't write about it right away. Let's just enjoy eating it." Jean's question had startled Fanny. Suddenly she remembered memorizing the Bible with her grandmother. She seemed to hear grandmother's strong voice saying over and over, "Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not steal." God was speaking to Fanny's heart through his word, but she would not listen. Fanny knew a lot about God and had memorized much of the Bible, but she did not really believe the Bible. Fanny knew she should not steal, but she wanted that watermelon, so she decided to disobey the Bible. But If we love Jesus, we will do what he says. Keep that in mind this week, and thank you for listening to the next part of Fanny's story.